Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
Cyberpunk 2077 is a game that takes place in, well, 2077.
If I need your body, I'll fucking...
It depicts a world 50 years from now where capitalism has reached its endgame, the laws of physics are breaking down, and technology has reached a point where it is integrated into everything in our lives, including our body. One of the main mechanics in the game is the ability to install various different upgrades and cybernetics to enhance abilities or to give you abilities that are otherwise impossible to perform without them, such as a hand cannon, mantis blades, a device to make you faster than the human mind can perceive, or 3 mouths. All this tech is really cool, but we're unfortunately around 52 years too early to experience any of it. And let's be real here, the only thing that'll come true in 52 years for the world is either being a desolate nuclear wasteland or an objectively worse living experience. But let's just ignore that for a second. If we go by the logic of the game, by 2077, most of you would either be dead or be bedridden in your deathbed, unable to enjoy the cybernetics. I know you want badass cybernetics too, doing things like David Martinez zipping around town blowing people's head off without them even knowing what happened in the slightest. You want to time travel straight to 2077 to enjoy those cybernetics in your youth. You might think time travel is just some sci-fi fiction bullshit though, and you're just gonna be forced to wait until 2077.
The kind of time travel that you're thinking of is a scientific impossibility.
But believe it or not, there is actually a way to time travel in real life. Now, the way you're gonna time travel isn't gonna be as spectacular as something like Avengers Endgame, where you need to use some sort of PIM particle to navigate through the quantum realm and reach the time destination that you want. No, you're not gonna hop on a DeLorean or some telephone box. It's a lot more mundane than that, but I still think it's pretty cool. And believe it or not, one of the methods has inadvertently been done before. Right now, there are 2 known possible ways to time travel. The first one is by staying nearby an object of immense gravity, something like a black hole or a neutron star. And the second one is by traveling really fast. Let's start with the first method. Using gravity, or also called gravitational time dilation. If you've watched Interstellar, it's pretty much explained already. Basically, the closer you are to an object that has a strong gravitational force, the slower time moves for you. I don't get it fully either, but it doesn't have to be a black hole. It'll just be way noticeable when it's a black hole. For example, if you were to have 2 clocks and you threw one into a black hole, you'd slowly see the clock you threw stop ticking while the one you have in your hands will continue ticking. And then you just see it still as it fades to black because no light can ever escape from a black hole.
Yes, science!
Of course, you're also gonna have to find a way to survive and escape a black hole, which, I don't know, figure that out yourself, I guess. I don't think you're gonna survive getting spaghettified like that, but hey, at least you're gonna time travel whatever atoms that are left in your body, that is. Now, when I say time travel has been done before, they used this method, and amazingly, it wasn't even on purpose. In 1991, astronomer Sergei Krikalev was launched into orbit aboard a spacecraft named Mir, however you fucking pronounce it.
Mir, Russian, Mir.
He stayed there as a flight engineer, readying the craft for the next crew. Unbeknownst to him, while in space, the fatherland, Soviet Russia, had a little bit of a divorce and split into multiple independent countries, and no one really felt responsible to pick Krikalev back up from space. This is quite literally like parents dropping off their kids at school, gets a divorce, and then no one wants to pick little Jimmy up. Well, it's a little more serious than that, because no one picked him up. He stayed there for nearly a year, completing over 5,000 revolutions around the Earth, and finally came back down on March 25th, 1992. And after that, he technically became one of the first persons to time travel, traveling a whopping 0.02 seconds. I know, right? It's amazing. Well, that's because Earth doesn't have the strongest gravitational force out there. If you were to switch it out to a black hole 100 times or even 1,000 times the mass of Earth, he'd be traveling a lot further. Let's just say Cooper was in line when that little maneuver is going to cost 51 years. Well, that's method 1. If you think you can't spend a year in space or survive falling into a black hole, you'd be more interested about method 2, traveling really fast. Now when I say really fast, you might think you'd be able to rent an F1 car and go at 300 kilometers an hour for a day or 2 non-stop, and you'd think you'd got a year by then. Well, it's not like that. When I say really fast, I mean really fast. I mean light speed fast. I know what you nerds are saying. No object can go at the speed of light. That's not scientifically possible. I know, I'm not that stupid. But traveling even at a low percentage of the speed of light is enough to cause noticeable time dilation. But now you might be asking, but how do I get that fast? Well, I don't know, figure that out yourself. In short, this is how it works. Imagine you have two baby twins. One stays at Earth and one assigned himself willingly onto a program that puts him in a second-hand Subaru with a V8 1000 engine, capable of traveling at 90% the speed of light. He gets tucked in, seatbelts on, and he blasts off into interstellar space, going 90% the speed of light for a 4-year-long round trip. In that 4 years of time, the baby twin on the Subaru would grow up normally, at least as normally you would without any human contact, and would grow 4 years older in the car. But when he comes back to Earth, he'd be surprised that his twin brother has grown by 28 years. So the twin that got in the car is at the age where he'd start elementary school, whereas the twin that stayed on Earth is on his second divorce. So if you found your method of transport, but now you're scared of overshooting your time destination and ending up in the year 3500 where no humans are left, luckily for you, there's a formula to calculate how long you need to go at light speed to reach your destination. It's a bit complicated at first glance, but there's also calc for everything now online. Calc is slang for calculator, by the way. But TLDR, if you go at 90% of the speed of light for a year, around 7 years would have passed back here on Earth. Now, that aside, we've only been talking about time traveling to the future. You might be wondering how you can time travel back to the past.
Ow, what the? Sorry, guy. Bobbert knocked me into last year. Just do your thing. I'll wait this one out.
Maybe you have some mistakes you want to correct, ask your high school crush out before you graduated, travel back to 2004 to buy Bitcoin, or kill baby Hitler. Well, as much as I also want to travel back in time to rewrite the past, unfortunately, there is no known way to time travel back to the past. So you are going to bear the weights of your regrets forever and ever for the rest of your life. While there are possible ways to time travel to the future, with the present technology, it doesn't seem like that someone's gonna time travel more than 0.02 seconds in this era. So unfortunately, the only cybernetic upgrade you'll get once we all become fragile and old in 2077 is a pacemaker and a life support machine. But just because you can time travel to 2077, that doesn't mean you should sulk all day. Because you know what they say, you're born too late to explore the Earth, you're born too early to explore the universe, but you're born just in the right time for Death Stranding 2, baby. Hell yeah! And that wraps it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you learned something in this one. Wanted to cover this topic after watching multiple Neil deGrasse Tyson YouTube shorts. And a little fun fact actually. I know the methods I told you work because I am actually a time traveler. So the only events I can say for certain will happen is that you will like the video, you will subscribe to the channel, and you will leave a comment about the video. Anyway, thanks again for stopping by, and I will see you next time. Good night.
I don't give a fuck. It's about me and you. You say your wife's name one more time, I'm gonna delete all that motherfucking money. That's